Why is Jim Knowles at Tennessee? It was the vision. It was a sell by Josh Heupel that got him through the door. Jim Knowles spoke to the media for the first time, had a lot of great things to say.
You are Locked On Vols, your daily podcast on the Tennessee Volunteers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Good Friday morning, everybody. Welcome into it, your Friday Locked On Vols, your unofficial start to the weekend. Appreciate you guys for being here and making Locked On Vols your number one listen, your number one watch here on a Friday morning. We are a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, the number one sports podcasting network available, where it is your team every single day. And today's episode is presented by the great people over at 5 Hour Energy. Have your cake and drink it too. Birthday cake flavor is back. No fork needed. Vanilla cakey flavor, caffeinated kick, and no sugar. It's party time. Now you can order at 5hourenergy.com or on Amazon. I am your host, Eric Cain, a member of the VolQuest.com team here in town covering your Tennessee Volunteers. Appreciate you guys for being here. Big show coming up here today. Jim Knowles spoke to the media. The defensive new additions to that staff spoke to the media. Anthony Poindexter, Andrew Jackson, Derek Jones, all those guys spoke to the media yesterday. We're going to focus on Jim Knowles here on today's show. The best from Jim Knowles, what he had to say about Josh Heupel, what he had to say about Chaz Coleman, who was the prize transfer portal addition for Tennessee this offseason, why he decided to retain William Inge and Rodney Garner. We're going to hear from Jim Knowles here in segment number one. Jim Knowles by the numbers. How quickly can Tennessee accelerate that learning curve of his defense, where if you look at the numbers, usually it takes a couple of years in order to finalize things. You don't want to wait around a couple of years. Well, the fact that Jim Knowles brought several coaches that he's familiar with and players at all three levels of the defense, that will accelerate some things. We'll tell you how, and we'll tell you what he had to say coming up in segment number two. And Tennessee basketball stays hot. A win against Oklahoma, a team that Tennessee should have beat on Wednesday night. What's this mean heading into Vanderbilt, and how Tennessee just continues to play well with Nate Ament. And triple-double watch nearly for Ja'Kobi Gillespie the other night. All that and more here on a Friday Locked On Vols. We'll have a crossover with Locked On Vandy's Corey Burton coming up later in the day, so stay tuned to that for a little bit more of a basketball content for a little bonus show. But without further ado, let's jump down into it. Jim Knowles speaking to the media. It was asked about, essentially, there's a narrative that's out there, and this is much more relevant in 2021 when Josh Heupel was hired and Josh Heupel was trying to find his first defensive coordinator, about a DC wanting to coach against a tempo offense. I think it was much more of a bigger deal back then because we hadn't seen this offense run in the Southeastern Conference. We hadn't seen this tempo run in the Southeastern Conference. We didn't see that Tennessee evolve tremendously with a good defense in 2024, where it looked a little bit different from 2021 and 2022. So I think there were more questions back then that you have now, but there's still that stigma, if you will, out there. And I thought Jim Knowles answered this really, really well. That wasn't even necessarily about the tempo in his answers. It was all about Josh Heupel. Give this a listen. This is your new defensive coordinator talking about your head coach that, hey, you may love, you may be getting tired of. This is what he has to say about Josh Heupel.
Well, the head coach, our head coach is as genuine and as real as anybody I've been around in terms of, wanting the defense to be successful, wanting special teams off, wanting everybody to be successful. So he is the farthest thing from a me guy or an ego guy. He's extremely down to earth, communicates well. I knew that from the first time I flew in here, and he picked me up himself and took me to his house, which I'd never done before in that circumstance, when you're just, kind of looking at each other to see if it's going to work. So he kind of set that right from the beginning. That's just the type of person he is, and the type of team he wants to have, that he's going to do what's best for the whole team.
No, I'm not saying that this never happened before. I'm not trying to sound like this is groundbreaking, big-time news, but how many head coaches are driving to the airport to pick up their new coordinator, and before taking them to the facility or a hotel or wherever, you're going back to his house to sit down and probably have dinner and just to catch up and just to talk and try to start this thing off the right way. Again, I'm not trying to say this has never happened or this doesn't happen, but that's not the norm. All right. So, what a not first impression. They obviously talked over the phone and probably FaceTime and all that during the interview process, but what a great welcome to Knoxville. Does that mean you're going to win more games? No, but again, we're all humans here. I mean, you can appreciate that, right? I thought that was really, really telling when he said that on Thursday, and he said that Josh Heupel's the most. He's not selfish at all. Nobody wants the defense to be better than Josh Heupel, and that's what you want to hear. And so I thought that was a really, really good answer. And again, it kind of makes you realize, it kind of makes you think again, like, I can't stand it sometimes. It's not like we get personal access to Josh Heupel and see him, talk to him off the record all the time, but we, more than the average fan, obviously, just in our line of work. And I mean, he's a really, really cool dude. Like, he's just such a robot, and he's so boring in front of the camera, in front of the microphones. But you get him away from that, I mean, he's genuine. Like, he's the most competitive guy in the world. And I like when people say that about him, because I don't think fans really get to see that side of him whatsoever. So thought that was really, really good stuff there from Jim Knowles. Another big takeaway I had from Jim Knowles was, the question was asked, why did you retain Rodney Garner? Why did you retain William Inge? You'll start with Rodney Garner. I thought these were some pretty good answers as well.
Rodney Garner's a legend, so I'm going to start right there. Right, he's really a legend when it comes to coaching D line, and an SEC legend. I think he's extremely well known, and when you watch him, he coaches his players very hard, but he loves them. Right after that, that's like a unique combination. It's how I like to be. Challenge them, work them hard, but make sure they know that you care about them. He's all about that. And Coach Inge is his room, that linebacker room. One of the things I learned during my evaluation period was that linebacker room was the best room on defense, but it was maybe the best room on the team in terms of how close those guys are and how they work together and how he manages his players. That's really a telltale sign when other people talk about your position and say, yeah, we have to be more like the linebackers. I think that shows what kind of coach he is.
Well, Rodney Garner's a legend. That was the first sentence out of his mouth, to answer this question. And I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about Rodney Garner. I mean, again, any coach in America, any defensive coordinator in America would be lucky to have Rodney Garner serve as the defensive line coach. So that's not a big shock whatsoever. What he said about William Inge was really cool. Again, I mean, I've been very open and honest. I don't think the linebackers have been good the last couple of years. I just don't. From a group standpoint, a production standpoint, it's not been as good as it could be, for sure. And the talent in the room is there. Like, there's good players, but there's an injury here, or the defensive line's not helping them out, or the secondary's not helping them out. I mean, you're just not playing well. You're not playing inside out. Like, that group has got to get better. And we talked specifically about this group, and I had these numbers. I wrote about it, a couple weeks ago whenever Arian Carter said he was coming back, about the returning games played, the returning snaps, the returning tackles. This room is loaded, 2 spots. Arian Carter, Maury Campbell coming from Penn State, okay? Then you've got Edwin Spillman that deserves to play, Jaden Pilati that deserves to play, Jeremiah Thielander that's been playing. Got a couple young bucks coming in, TJ White and Braden Rouse that don't want to sit the bench. You bring back Jordan Burns, Jaden Harmon. I mean, this group, Ben Bolton is still on the team. I mean, this group has got a lot of playing time under its belt. And so it's got to be better, though. It's not been as good as it can be. And I'm not saying that's all just on the coach at all. This is not I'm trying to rag on William Inge. I like William Inge. I think he's a good linebacker, but boy, that room's got to get better because there's too much talent in that room. But man, the closeness, the camaraderie, those comments were pretty telling. He was like, not just on defense, but on the entire team. Whenever they're saying, hey, we as a group, we got to be better. We got to be like the linebackers. I thought that was pretty neat. And he said, hey, I learned things from William Inge. I mean, William Inge has been doing this forever. Like, he's been a linebackers coach forever. And so I thought of the two coaches on staff that could be retained, I thought that these were the right two. But I thought, again, those were some pretty telling remarks there by Jim Knowles, and I wanted to bring him on to the show. One other one I'm going to play this segment before we get into the install and how quickly Tennessee's defense can turn around. Somebody asked about Chaz Coleman. Also asked Andrew Jackson about it. We'll play that later, maybe next week. But the defensive coordinator, what did he have to say about Chaz Coleman? That was the number 3 ranked player in the On3 transfer portal rankings and one of the biggest gets for Tennessee in the transfer portal. Edge rusher Chaz Coleman. This is what his former defensive coordinator at Penn State and current defensive coordinator at Tennessee had to say about him.
He's explosive. You know, he is difficult to block. You know, he has a little bit of an invisible cloak, you know, where he can twist, turn, you know, beat guys one-on-one. He has great initial quickness off the ball. So he's a guy that can create havoc, you know, for an offense and really create some matchup issues.
Really create some matchup issues. Some really good stuff. I like the way that Jim Knowles speaks. Cool, calm, collective, articulate with his thoughts. And there was a lot of good stuff there from Andrew Jackson and Anthony Poindexter, Derek Jones, you know, we'll get into next week. But they all talked about how they wanted to coach with Jim Knowles again, wanted to coach under him, coach with him. And I think it was Andrew Jackson that said, I don't know, from the exterior you think he's just an old crusty man, but he's actually one of the most funny guys you can be around, and good person, good teacher, good coach. And again, that was Jim Knowles talking about Chaz Coleman. I thought that was a really, really good descriptive answer on what better be one of Tennessee's best defensive players next year. All right, when we come back, how quickly can Tennessee's defense turn around? How quickly can Jim Knowles get his system installed and see results change and benefit from that? All that and more is coming up next. We continue on here at your Friday Locked On Vols. Stay tuned. Welcome to the 5-Hour Energy Flavor Draft, where we're looking at every aspect of the draft to let you know which tasty flavors are the best and which just might be sleepers. The board is set, the flavors are ready, and only one is going to take that top spot. 5-Hour Energy has a wide variety of flavors, something for everyone. 5-Hour Energy shots give you the boost with zero sugar, so no crash in the afternoons. 5-Hour Energy has a lot of upcoming flavors as well, innovations planned. Tons and tons of new flavors. You can go out there and you can buy them in your local convenience stores. You can also order them on Amazon, and they'll be shipped directly to your door. Really, really cool flavors. You know, cotton candy, delicious swirl of sugary clouds, fruity twist-like hint of vanilla. You got the confetti craze. Delicious blend of rich and buttery fresh-baked confetti cake, smooth vanilla frosting, and sprinkle in sweetness in every single sip. Also got, some OGs like the grape. Got soft, roundness, sweetness, smooth, almost syrup-like fruit profile. So many different flavors. Find the one for you and let us know in the comments what's your favorite 5-Hour Energy shot. Find your new favorite flavor of 5-Hour Energy shots available online at 5hourenergy.com and, of course, on Amazon. That's 5-Hour Energy. Ever want to experience the NBA Finals in person? FanDuel is giving you a chance to turn that dream into a reality this basketball season with the NBA Sweepstakes. Here's how it works. Use the profit boost on any NBA future bet, and you'll automatically be entered for a shot to win an NBA Finals trip for two. That's right, not just to get you in there with the tickets, okay, but it's the flights. It's everything involved, okay? The whole experience. If you're already looking at the board and thinking about which team can go and make that deep run this year, this is the perfect time to lock in. I love futures this time of the year, whether it's picking a team to win the championship or grab a conference title. It adds an extra layer of excitement to every game down the stretch. And now not only can you pick cash, but you can also send you to the NBA Finals. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Use your profit boost on an NBA future and get entered for your chance to win a trip to the NBA Finals. Play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Welcome back into Locked On Vols here on a Friday morning. Get your ad-free audio version of the show with the Everydayer Club, plus members-only Discord access. You can join today at LockedOnVols.supercast.com. LockedOnVols.supercast.com here today. I don't know if Adam Green, Everydayer of the show, is a part of the Everydayer Club, but I know he's an Everydayer. He watches the show every single day on YouTube, and I want to give a big shout-out to my buddy, longtime buddy, Adam Green. Big things coming in your future. Really, really happy for you, man. Not going to go into the specifics here because I'm sure you want to announce that yourself at some point in time, but thrilled for you, my guys. So appreciate you watching, supporting me. I'm going to be supporting you here in the near future, that is for sure. All right, so how quickly can Tennessee's defense make a turnaround? Mind you, Tennessee's defense last year ranked, let's see here, 93rd nationally in points, giving up 28.8 points per game, 88th in total defense, giving up 395.5 yards per game, 115th in pass defense, 248.8 yards per game, and 62nd in rush defense at 146.7 points per game, all that under Tim Banks. And let's not act like, I know a lot of people, your fans want to hate everybody, want to hate somebody, right? And, Tim Banks is the guy, he's fired. Tennessee's defense in 2024 was elite. It was fantastic. So, but the turnaround, the drop-off, you didn't have your two starting corners. I understand that. You had injuries all year long on the defensive line. You lost some players. I get all that. I'm not making excuses. It was bad. I mean, you can't lose the way you lost to Vanderbilt in the second half. You can't lose and do what you did. There needed to be a change. But, man, the turnaround from 2024 to 2025 was unreal. So, I've said repeatedly this offseason, and I will continue to say repeatedly whenever somebody says, but it takes a couple of years for Jim Knowles' defense to kick in, right? According to the numbers, you are correct. And I'm going to put out a story at volquest.com, and I already put out a story a couple of months ago that was pretty similar to this. But you look at, and I did 8 years of data. Clearly, he's coached more than 8 years. But I did the last 8 years. I went back to 2018. 2018, his first year at Oklahoma, his three previous stops. His first year at Oklahoma State, he took a defense and had them ranked 97th in scoring defense. The next year in 2019, they ranked 61st. The next year they ranked 34th. In 2021, Oklahoma State ranked 9th, a top 10 defense. You went to Ohio State. His first year they ranked, now they had really good players, 24th. His second year, they ranked 2nd. His third year, they ranked number 1 in the country. And then last year at Penn State, he ranked 37th in scoring defense. And then who's to know how it would have panned out at Penn State, but that staff got fired, and, of course, he found his way here. But you look at scoring defense, you look at total defense, you look at pass defense, you look at rush defense, you go from low on the totem pole here to up. You keep moving up, and you get better year over year. And that's the same, right? I mean, the more you do things, the more you rep things, the more you're comfortable, and hopefully the better the results are. I get all that. But nowadays, when you can get out there with a football and a coach in February, things have changed. Joey Aguilar got here in mid-May and led the SEC in passing. I understand Joey Aguilar is a veteran. He's a good ball player, but, things have changed a little bit. So I think this conversation in total is a little hyperbolic. However, when you look at the stats, it's there. I understand it. But this year's different. Not only is Jim Knowles here, he's bringing a defensive line coach who's going to coach the edge, the pass rush of the Leos, and Andrew Jackson. He brought Anthony Poindexter with him to be his co-DC and secondaries coach. He's going to coach the safeties. Okay, those two guys were with him at Penn State last year. Derek Jones is coming in to coach the corners now to replace Michael Hunter, who Jim Knowles spent a year with in a couple of years at Oklahoma State and Ohio State with Michael Hunter, but he's with the Rams now. Derek Jones is coming in, and he spent some time, several years, 6 years, 7 years with Jim Knowles in Durham, North Carolina, which is where he was before I didn't go back that far on my data that I researched here. But my point is, these coaches not only have coached with him recently, last year, but in Derek Jones's case, has coached with them for a long time, like at Durham. So they know his system. They know his expectations. They know what he's about. But more than that, you bring in these players. Transfer portal can really change some things. You bring in Xavier Gilliam, a defensive tackle. Chaz Coleman, defensive end. Amari Campbell at linebacker. And remember, Amari Campbell, I'll get to him in a moment. And then Dejon Lane at safety. So you bring in players at every level of the defense to pair with a Penn State coach they had last year, right? Jackson, Coleman, and Gilliam. You got Campbell at linebacker, which Jim Knowles is a walk-around defensive coordinator, which he will be here, but he is a linebackers coach. So he was over there with the linebackers a ton. He knows all about Amari Campbell. And then you have Anthony Poindexter, who's had Dejon Lane in his position room each of the past couple of years. So that's not everything, but it's not nothing. And so I think that growth can be accelerated in terms of the Jim Knowles system this year. And he was asked about that on Thursday. What do you make of this? How quickly can you guys get to where you want to be, given the coaches you brought in and given the players that you got from Penn State in the transfer portal? And Jim Knowles admitted, it's an advantage for us in a big way.
We can go faster than other situations that I've been in because of the fact, like you said, that we have a lot of coaches who have worked with me before. So that's a huge advantage. So definitely faster than other places. And we have, a few players, which is really kind of crazy in this day and age that you have a few players that have been in this system, really at all levels of the defense. You know, Xavier, Amari, Day, Chat, like all levels they've been around, so they can help. So yeah, I would say there's that opportunity, and we do try to throw a lot at them early. You know, it's a whole philosophy. You know, you kind of start out, throw a lot at them, see what they can take in, shrink it down. You know, once you figure out their strengths and weaknesses and how they learn, it's really important how they learn. And then hopefully build it back up to whole on the other end. But how you get to the other end is really based on the players and how they pick it up. So kind of put in a lot, shrink it way down, you know, to see what they know, and then take it step by step to build it back up.
Put in a lot, shrink it down, see what they know, see what they do well, and then build it back up. But having Anthony Poindexter, Andrew Jackson, Derek Jones, all those guys who have been with him before, and two of those guys very recently at Penn State, coupled with the players, the transfers from the Nittany Lions, and Xavier Gilliam, Chaz Coleman, Amari Campbell, Dejon Lane, all that's going to help. Again, it's not everything, but it's certainly something. And you just go look at the numbers. And again, from the 8 years of data that I pulled here, or a little more than 8 years, 9 years, I guess. No, 8 years. Yeah, 8 years. I mean, some of these highlights, again, led the nation in scoring defense in 2024. Total defense in 2024, was third in pass defense, third in rush defense, and had the second most sacks in the country. All that was in 2024. He had the best defense in the country. 2023, his second year at Ohio State. That was his third year in 24. He had the second best scoring defense, the third best total defense, the best pass defense, the 29th ranked rush defense, and he had 28 sacks on the year. I mean, again, even his first year at Ohio State, those numbers aren't bad. His first year at Ohio State and his first year at Penn State, those numbers were astronomically better than where Tennessee was last year. So if you just take a normal jump, you're going to be a significantly better football team if all was the same. Now, is all going to be the same? We'll see. What about Joey Aguilar? I mean, hopefully we'll find something out about that today, or if not, first next week. But, did want to make mention of all that stuff there from Jim Knowles. And I do think that the learning curve for his install can be accelerated a little bit here at Tennessee because of all those factors. All right, let's shift gears here. Let's talk a little hoops. Tennessee, a 23-point win over Oklahoma the other night, as expected. We'll tell you how Tennessee got there and what to look forward to against Vanderbilt as we conclude this Friday morning edition of Locked On Vols. Go ahead and stay tuned, shall you?
I'm Clea Butler, host of Locked On Women's Basketball, and this is Mazda's Women's Basketball Snapshot, celebrating the work no highlight reel can ever capture. It was a heavyweight showdown between number 3 South Carolina and number 7 LSU, and the Gamecocks rose to the occasion. South Carolina secured a hard-fought 79-72 victory to stay atop the SEC standings, using a balanced offensive attack to outlast the Tigers. Tessa Johnson led the way with 21 points, while Raven Johnson added 19. Medina Okot dominated the paint with a double-double, finishing with 12 points and 17 rebounds, while Joyce Edwards chipped in 10 points to round out the scoring. With the statement win, the Gamecocks now turn their attention to a road matchup at number 23 Alabama on Thursday. These moments are earned off the clock, those long before the lights ever come on. The sweat, the fakes, the doubt, the scrapes, and coming back for more every time. Mazda puts that same drive into every detail. Wins define the moment, putting in the work, that defines you. There's more to a Mazda because there's more to you.
Tennessee basketball, an 89-66 win over Oklahoma the other night. I had planned on doing a little bit of a little recap bonus 15-minute show yesterday afternoon, but I remember that we had the squad show that it's going to be tough for me to make the squad show. I know some of you guys don't watch it because I'm not on there. Wow, that sounded really boastful. I didn't mean it like that. I do see some of the comments. I've been on them a lot more recently, but now with midweek baseball, we record, earlier in the week, and so I'm going to miss a lot of the football squad shows here in the spring. But I am on the baseball squad shows that we do. It comes out Tuesday afternoons, and so we record those the night before. So if you want some maybe more baseball content in a squad show format, I even host some of those, so come on over and hang out with us. But yeah, we have the squad show coming out on Thursday, so I was like, oh, I don't need 3 episodes in one day. It's a bit overkill. So anyway, I want to talk about it right here, and then we'll have a crossover with Locked On Vandy's Corey Burton talking about Tennessee and Vanderbilt for tomorrow. That's coming up later this afternoon. Tennessee 89-66 over Oklahoma. I mean, the story in this one for me, more so than tying his career high yet again, 29 points with Nate Ament, but I mean, Ja'Kobi Gillespie, holy moly, man, 16 points, 8 steals, 8 assists. Is that good? I mean, 8 steals was a program single game record. Zakai Ziegler, who is a Tennessee legend, who will forever be a fan favorite, who you can have real discussions about being one of the better program and pillars in this program's history, being the starting point guard and an all-SEC performer for back-to-back Elite Eight appearances, okay? Sweet 16 also on his resume. He never did that in a game. And Ja'Kobi Gillespie, who is a scoring first point guard, comes in here, and he's improved his defense the entire year. He has 8 steals. He said after the game, hey, I took a ton of bets. I took a ton of chances. Ton of risks is what he said. Risks. He probably didn't say bets. That would have been bad. Kind of like Rick Barnes a couple weeks ago saying, I don't know if we're betting on games there at the end. He said he took a lot of risk and his teammates had his back. Well, those risks paid off. 8 steals, 8 assists. He's always been one of the better facilitating point guards in the league. And he's one of the better scoring point guards in the league. He had 16 points. He was really, really good. Nate Ament, of course, was great, but his passing really opened some things up in the second half whenever Oklahoma got things down to about 6 before Tennessee blew the doors off it and ended up winning by 23. But Tennessee had a double-digit lead. Oklahoma, the Sooners, cut it within 6. The game was never in doubt, but it's still a little frustrating because we see this story so much now. But and Grant Ramey on the VolQuest podcast earlier this week somebody asked a question like, why can't Tennessee close? Why can't Tennessee play with big leads? Well, against horrific opponents, I mean, Tennessee's closed really strong the last couple of games against Oklahoma and LSU. I think LSU cut it within 4-4, and Oklahoma got it within 6, and Tennessee beat LSU by 10, and Tennessee beat Oklahoma again by 23, right? I mean, so yeah, I mean, they closed really strong against teams they need to close against. But, you blew the 17-point lead at home to Kentucky. You blew a 14-point lead on the road at Rupp. You had Mississippi State that went on an 18-0 run in the second half. Tennessee found a way to win that one. There was another game in there that had a run that Tennessee erased. But nonetheless, Tennessee's not necessarily playing great with the big leads. But, when Oklahoma came back in and started cutting within that deficit, it was Nate Ament's facilitating, man. It was his distributing that was phenomenal in that game. But 9 of 17 from the field, 29 points. That's the 4th time in like the last 6 or 7 games that he's tied his career high. He was 8 for 8 from the charity stripe. Again, he continues to be elite at the charity stripe, elite in the second half. He had 6 rebounds, 3 assists. Nate Ament, I just sit here and laugh at everybody that was just counting him out at the beginning of SEC play, counting him out in the month of December and January. Oh my gosh, Tennessee wasted all this money. Rick Barnes is done. He can't coach anybody. Gosh, if there's ever just a lesson to be learned here by some people, not everybody, some, not even the majority, some, don't dog your player until you see what they can turn into. There is a reason why everybody was talking about Nate Ament, and he just continues to show you why every single game out there. Again, 29 points the other night. He is going to be a lottery pick, and enjoy him because you only get a few more games of him. Felix Okpara had a pretty good game. A lot of his were second chance opportunities, tip in, stuff like that. But he had 18 points. How about that? I mean, that's got to be a career high. I need to go look that up. 18 points, 7 rebounds. He had 2 steals as well, so that was good to see. Felix Okpara stepping up because no JP Estrella. JP Estrella, fortunately, was counted as doubtful on Tuesday night at the injury report. He was ruled out for Wednesday's game. Foot soreness, same foot that he missed all last year with, so that's not great. I don't think it's the same part of the foot, but still, that's not great. We'll certainly be keeping an eye on him. 13 points from Dwayne Brown, which is great to see. So, yeah, I mean, Tennessee did what it was supposed to do. Jalen Carey had 7 rebounds. He played 24 minutes. Again, no JP Estrella in this one. Bishop Boswell, 5 rebounds, 4 points, 5 assists. continues to do a little bit of everything, but he had 4 fouls, so he had to sit a little bit. Only had 24 minutes in this game. But again, Tennessee just continues to do what Tennessee does well. Dominated the boards, out-rebounded Oklahoma 36-19, 15 on the offensive end to 6, which led to, get a load of this, 17 second chance opportunities to 7 points scored off those. Tennessee dominated the paint 46-18, outscoring Oklahoma in the paint, and Tennessee scored 31 points off turnovers, where Oklahoma scored just 7 points off turnovers. So, again, Tennessee did a good job in that regard, and this is what's supposed to happen. Tennessee shoots 52% from the field, made a couple of three-pointers, not an awful lot, made the majority of your free throws. Still a little bit left to be desired there, but you beat up on crappy teams, and now you look at yourself in the SEC standings. You are in a three-way tie for second place in the SEC. Alabama, Arkansas, Tennessee all have 9-4 records in conference. Tennessee's beaten Alabama. Arkansas's beaten Tennessee. Can't remember who beat who with Alabama and Arkansas. They all have 19-7 overall records. Big week coming up. Tennessee sits a game in front of Vanderbilt in the SEC standings. Tennessee 9-4, Vanderbilt 8-5. So pivotal game coming down the stretch, the first of 2 against Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt on Saturday, at Missouri on Tuesday night, at home against Alabama next Saturday, on the road at South Carolina 2 Tuesdays, and then Vanderbilt to conclude the regular season on March the 7th. We'll have more Tennessee and Vanderbilt talk later this afternoon on a Locked On Vols and Locked On Vandy crossover with Corey Burton. Appreciate you guys for being here, making Locked On Vols a part of your morning routine, your first watch, your first listen each and every single day. Everydayers, thank you so much for being here. If you want to join the Everydayer Club, get more and more Locked On Vols, access to Locked On merch store, access to Locked On Everydayer Club Discord channel where we can talk off air and talk to other hosts and all that and more. Ad-free audio versions of the show. Hey, $5 a month. LockedOnVols.supercast.com, LockedOnVols.supercast.com. We'll be back later this afternoon. Thank you guys so much for being here, making us a part of your morning routine. This has been Locked On Vols.